Hello and welcome to Ace Ideas live from the procrastination station. This week we're talking innuendos. And yeah, I'm very excited and quite interested to talk about this because it could potentially be quite hilarious. It also could potentially be quite boring. So we'll see where this goes. Basically, for those of you who don't know, an innuendo is basically when something is insinuated. In this particular sense, we're talking sexual innuendo, which is probably the one the one that's it's most noticeable to me in my life, either because it's more prevalent or my lack of understanding of it is more prevalent. But yeah, I basically am here to share some of my own funny lack of picking up innuendos, I suppose, or accidentally walking into them. Yeah, some of those stories, so hopefully it's a little interesting. The funniest thing about innuendos is the fact that I didn't really happen upon them all too regularly until the past couple of years, and I'm not sure if that's just because my peers and I have matured more, or grown up more, or if it's just because of the different people I hung around with. I think it's the latter, actually. But yeah, it's definitely become more prevalent in that time. So yeah. Trying to think of what I can say. Oh, Jesus. Oh yeah, it's quite hilarious sometimes when I accidentally walk into them, and more often than not, it's very, very embarrassing when I walk into something that has like sexual double meaning. And yeah, people often end up turning things I say quite innocently into really, really sexualized things, which I often don't expect, but it happens. Most recently I've just come off doing a, short production where we did a performance for where we did a performance a performance for Ballarat, which is where I live. Heritage Weekend, where we reenacted ideas, events, stories from the past, and we were all in period costume, etc., etc. One unifying design theme that happened throughout the whole thing, because this was a moving performance through the streets. We had a recurring design thing that had to be present in every single aspect of the performance, no matter where we were boxes, and I ran into quite a lot of box jokes accidentally, and it's funny. Yeah, people automatically latch onto that idea in a sexualized manner, even if it's not necessarily intended as such. And yes, quite a few of those moments were hilarious. A few of them were a bit but most of them are hilarious. Yeah. And I'm usually not the person to make that kind of connection in my own ways of thinking, and I don't really play up on sexual innuendos. I catch them when other people do them. Most of the time I understand them, but yeah, I don't really come up with them myself. I guess my mind's not in that place, and I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with my orientation or not. It's just, I guess, part of how I am. But we'll get to that discussion in a second. Before I want to tell you one more unfortunate little story. This one's really kind of embarrassing. And it's on account of me not knowing enough well, not knowing some of the, I guess, sexual slang that people use. So yeah, there's this one day I've come out of a really late class and I'm really, really hungry. And we've been doing all this work where we have to get really up close to people. And I noticed that someone smelled really nice and they made me really hungry. And I started thinking of food and blah, 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 and eating stuff. And then I ended up saying that, they smelled so nice that I could put them on a spit. And I didn't know that that had a sexual meaning as well, which was really embarrassing. When my friend told me, I was just like, I had my head in my hands for like 15 minutes and I was laughing and like, oh my god, if I'd have known, I would not have said that. But I suppose that just comes from my obliviousness in regards to a lot of those slang terms, I suppose. I've spoken to many friends and been assured that that's not just an ace thing. That's a lot of people's thing. It just depends on what kind of crowd you run in and how often words like that come up, I guess. Because a lot of the time people aren't too concerned. That sort of thing, I think. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a really interesting thing to think about. And it's quite an interesting question about my lack of knowledge of these ideas and my lack of linking, I guess, concepts with two meanings, one sexualized, one not. My lack of thinking of the sexualized one, whether or not that's tied to my orientation. And I think it could quite possibly be, simply because my mind isn't in that place where a lot of other people's are. And yes, I definitely appreciate a very, a tasteful joke that involves, sexual innuendos. I think they can be quite hilarious at times. But am I one to make them? Not really. Not very often. And if I do, it's because someone's already started pushing the conversation in that way. They've started joking in that way that I think, oh, my mind makes those links, and I end up adding jokes to that. But yeah, it's not very often that I do. And I think, mostly because my mind isn't in that place. And yeah, in regards to all those slang words and things like that, I think, for the majority of my life I was hanging around people who never talked about anything sexual at all. It was practically, it was like just this utterly taboo subject in the group of people I hung around with. So it was never really spoken about. So I guess, I guess that's why I never really learnt much of these terms except for when I saw things come up on the internet, I'd see words and I'd be like, what the hell does that mean? Oh, so that's what that means. I can't believe people would do that. I've actually had that reaction several times. Some things people do completely baffle me. I'm just, but I would never thought that people would think of doing things like that. But power to you if you want to do that. I don't care. Just please don't involve me. But I think that's about all I have to say on this for now. I hope you all have a splendid rest of the week, and I guess I'll see you in a fortnight in another topic. With another topic. In another topic. That'd be interesting. I am in the topic. Bye. Me again, just remembered something. I forgot to thank everyone, because we've recently, but prior to my last video, we'd passed 100 subscribers, but I didn't realise, so this is my chance to acknowledge this and say thank you so much for watching the videos. I am glad that someone there is, appreciating what we're doing here. I hope that, I hope that you all, are getting something out of it, and I I love it when you talk to us and give us feedback. I think our next topic is a suggested topic by someone's username who I can't remember, but I will try and put that in the comments if I remember. Otherwise, I'll see you next week and we'll be talking about a suggested topic, which will be very exciting. I love it when we get interactions from people. So please interact with us if you can. You can send us a message, you can comment on the videos. We now have a new Twitter and Tumblr account, as well as our Facebook page, so please check out those. All of the links are on our banner on our channel, and I'll try and put them in the description as well. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. We love having you as an audience, and bye!